Yo, welcome back, legends. The scene opens with Yuki in a butler outfit. Bro got demoted from main character to waiter. He is literally pouring tea for a room full of terrifying monsters. He's confused, but Vento drops some wisdom. Apparently, a top-tier swordsman moves exactly like a butler. Zero wasted energy, maximum focus, and absolutely no shaking. Vento tells him to stop looking like a lost puppy and uses True Demon Eye to actually learn something. The mission is simple but kind of impossible. This is a tea party for monsters of different races. Yuki has to use his eyes to read exactly what they want before they ask for it. He tries to copy their movements, but honestly, he is fumbling the bag. He spills the tea everywhere. Total party foul. He realizes that just hitting Control plus C, Control plus V on their movements isn't working because his stats are trash. He needs to adapt the moves to his own style, not just mimic them. Day 2 hits, and things get heavy. A massive minotaur pulls up. This guy takes one look at Yuki and assumes he must be OP because Vento likes him. Yuki awkwardly admits he's loading his strength. The minotaur decides to help him train, and Yuki realizes he has to compensate for his zero stamina by reading a room in 4K resolution. Training montage time. By day 4, Yuki is fighting for his life against a nasty cold, but he refuses to quit. He's analyzing, predicting, and sweating buckets. He starts understanding the monster language, and finally he gets why Vento chose his torture method. By day 6, a cute bat shows up looking hungry. Yuki instantly scans its blood-sucking tag and serves up exactly what it needs. Absolute precision. Finally, on day 7, Yuki serves Vento a cup of tea. Vento roasts the taste rude, but admits Yuki's form is finally passable. But Yuki, he's done playing house. He declares the real test starts right now. He activates Blood Bloom Blade. Vento notices a difference immediately. Yuki isn't just spamming the skill on autopilot anymore. He's doing it consciously. Yuki launches an attack, but Vento deflects it effortlessly. Vento hits him with the "I'm not angry, just disappointed" speech, telling Yuki he's one step short and reminding him that Elvina is still in danger. Emotional damage. But then, absolute cinema happens. Vento thinks Yuki hit his limit, but the system glitches out. The skill description literally rewrites itself in front of Yuki's eyes. It changes from the standard version to Blood Bloom Blade, my style. Bro literally hacked the game. Instead of one big slash, the skill now converts blood into countless tiny blades. Vento is actually flabbergasted. Yuki shouts that he won't give up just because he failed once and unleashes a barrage of attacks. He attempts to overwhelm the boss with pure numbers. Vento blocks them, but he has to admit it was magnificent. Yuki collapses, totally cooked, but he passed a vibe check. Meanwhile, we cut to Saki, who is actually doing her job. She contacts someone, confirming she found the target. She's holding a file for a joint mission to explore a B-rank dungeon. The boss status? Unknown. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a death flag. Yuki better wake up, because things are about to get real dangerous. Now, he's back in the field and linking up with Saki, the S-rank queen herself. Yuki drops a bombshell immediately. He wants to hit up a B-rank dungeon. Saki gives him the side-eye because, on paper, Yuki is still a lowly E-rank noob. She politely asks if he has a death wish, even though she admits he looks a bit stronger. Yuki clarifies a plan. He isn't the main DPS today. He's reapplying for his old job as professional luggage carrier. Basically, he's just there to loot while the big kids fight. When Saki asks who he actually plans to team up with later, Yuki confirms it's him, aka the Demon Lord Vento. Talk about high-level networking. The scene shifts to the Adventure Guild. Saki instantly notices Yuki's posture has changed. She can tell he's been grinding sword training. Before they can bond over gains, they get interrupted by Gato, an A-rank adventurer with massive main character syndrome. Gato is a volunteer for this mission, which is code for "I want to get carried by an S-rank." He spots Yuki and asks for his rank. The second he hears a rank, Gato chooses violence. He starts trash-talking immediately, telling Saki to fire the scrub because he'll just be dead weight. Saki defends Yuki, mentioning he solo-conquered 2 dungeons. Gato calls Cap immediately. In his head, he's panicking. He wanted an easy ride to promotion, and if Yuki is actually a secret Smurf account, Gato won't get the MVP credit he needs. Bro is fighting demons, and the demons are his own insecurities. Saki ignores the toxicity and starts the briefing. The target is the closed cave of desire. Here is the lore drop. Dungeon ranks are based on a boss's power. A strong boss needs a big house, so powerful dungeons have massive floors. Since this place is small and cramped, the guild rated it B rank. The only problem? Nobody can find the boss. It's like a hide-and-seek game where the seeker dies. Inside the dungeon, Gato is trying way too hard. He one-shots a mob and flexes on Yuki, tell him to stay back and not steal his kills. Suddenly, a golem phases out of the wall right next to Saki. Saki charges her luminous slash, but before she can even swing, the golem falls apart, cleanly sliced in half. It wasn't Saki. Yuki stands there with his sword drawn. Saki is shook. She didn't even see him move. She realizes his swordsmanship isn't just, okay, it's elite. Yuki just saved her while she was still loading her attack. Despite Yuki's clutch play, the mission is a disaster. 10 hours pass. 0 boss. 0 loot. 0 progress. They hit a dead end. Gato taps the wall and acts like a professor, explaining that digging is useless because dungeon walls are magical boundaries. Yuki ignores him and toggles on his true demon eye. He scans the wall. The interface pops up, attribute, Earth. Wait a minute. The wall has the exact same composition as the golems they've been fighting. Yuki realizes the horror. He screams for everyone to move. Saki doesn't ask questions. She launches a nuke at the ceiling. The blast tears the roof open, revealing the sky. They jump out to the hole and look back. Plot twist of the century. They weren't inside a cave. They were inside the stomach of a colossal golem. The golem was so big, it was pretending to be a dungeon to lure people in. The guild's data was trash because the dungeon isn't small. It's the monster itself. Saki looks at the ultra-large landscape and realizes they've been catfished. This isn't a B rank mission. It's a guaranteed A rank catastrophe, bordering on S rank. Gato wanted promotion, but he's about to get a funeral. Standing inside the stomach of a giant rock monster, Saki gathers a squad to drop the harsh reality check. The Cave of Sealed Desires isn't a cute little B-rank dungeon. It's an ultra-large-scale A-rank nightmare. She points to a floating castle in the distance and reveals the truth. The dungeon is actually a massive golem that decided to camouflage itself as a landscape. Basically, this thing went AFK to farm mana because it failed to stop high-level players like Saki earlier. It's been conserving energy to evolve. Saki gives a lecture, explaining that monsters aren't just mindless NPCs. They are playing 4D chess in a war against humanity. But there's good news. They caught this thing just before it leveled up to an S-rank catastrophe. Time for the strat. Saki initiates a clear operation. The plan is simple. Rush the boss before it wakes up fully. She orders the fodder, the rest of the party, to retreat to the surface and snitch to the guild. But she turns to Yuki and gives him the VIP pass. She claims she needs him for information transport in case things go south. But let's be real, she just wants to see him cook. Yuki accepts the invite, and they promise to return together. Saki pops her ULT, Luminous Formula, turning herself into a human flashlight to clear the path. They speedrun the dungeon, completely ignoring the trash mobs. As they go deeper, the mana pressure gets heavy, like walking through soup. Finally, they reach the bottom, and the boss is waiting. Enter Carrot, the jewel golem. She's glowing, she's shiny, and she has an ego to match. Her life goal? To become the most beautiful being in existence and ascend to the throne of Demon King. She's been hoarding mana just to handle her skincare routine. Yuki activates True Demon Eye instantly. He scans her stats. Normally, a boss this fast would be an instant game over. But after Vinto's boot camp from hell, everything looks like it's moving in slow motion to Yuki. He realizes he isn't scared at all. Bro is locked in. Yuki engages first. Carrot is confident her diamond body is unbreakable, but Yuki lands a strike that actually chips her armor. She is shook. Seeing an opening, Saki joins the jumping, inflicting serious damage. Realizing she's about to lose a 2v1, Carrot plays dirty. She unleashes a trap card. Carrot creates Colossal. The massive golem body outside starts shifting, blocking the exit route. The B team outside is now trapped and about to get squashed. Saki freezes. She has to choose, kill the boss or save her crew. Yuki makes a choice for her. He tells Saki to go save the noobs and promises to hold the boss back solo. Saki hesitates but decides to trust him. She rushes for the exit, promising they'll party later. Now it's just Yuki and the Diamond Diva. Carrot starts trash-talking, claiming Yuki got thrown away by his teammate. Yuki laughs it off. He calls it trust. He declares that since everyone believes in him, he has to deliver. He stops suppressing his aura, releasing a wave of mana that feels distinctly monstrous. Carrot is confused. Why does this human feel like a beast? Yuki draws his sword and drops the hardest line of the chapter. From this point on, I fight as a monster tamer. He warns her to get ready because he's about to unleash the swordsmanship he learned from monsters way scarier than a shiny rock. She's staring at Yuki like, how is this E-rank scrub scratching my diamond skin? Yuki hits her with the facts. Thanks to his true demon eye, he saw through her technique and basically used her own momentum against her. It's the ultimate Uno reverse card. Carrot refuses to accept that she's getting cooked by a human. She decides it's time for Phase 2. She activates Carrot Cure Cut. Her body shifts, transforming her limbs into sharp, flexible blades. She plans to turn Yuki into a pincushion, confident that he can't deflect omnidirectional attacks. She launches a barrage of strikes, yelling, "Got you!" like a classic anime villain. The blades close in, and Yuki actually takes a hit. Carrot starts gloating immediately. She thinks she baited him into taking damage because he was getting cocky. She screams that she's going to punish him for daring to scratch her beautiful paint job. She is absolutely fuming. But Yuki? Bro is unbothered. He's just standing there, menacingly. He activates True Demon Eye, again to check her updated stats. And there it is, the fatal error. He notes that her hardness has plummeted all the way down to E rank. In order to extend her reach and boost her offense, she sacrificed all her defense. She literally turned herself into a glass cannon. Yuki decides to teach her a lesson in stat distribution. He slashes through her extended blades, severing them instantly. Carrot is shocked. Her invincible body is suddenly cutting like butter. She tries to retract her limbs to get her defense back, but it's too late. Yuki presses a W key, unleashing a flurry of strikes that shred her armor to pieces. Carrot is screaming in pain and confusion. She assumes he must be using some high-level body reinforcement buff, but Yuki corrects her. I'm not buffing myself. I'm just using Blood Bloom Blade. He reveals that he scattered his own blood into the air to create a domain of invisible blades. Carrot realizes the horror. Every time she moves, these invisible blood blades are slicing her apart. The situation is checkmate. If she moves, she gets sliced. If she stays still, Yuki kills her. Desperate, Carrot falls back on her racial trait. She thinks, I'm a golem. I don't feel pain or fear like meat bags, so I can't really die. But Yuki points out a massive hole in her logic. He asks if she knows what vampires eat. He explains the blood-sucking mechanic. The skill needs fuel. If a vampire absorbs blood beforehand, it can double cast the skill. Yuki reveals he used his own blood for the first strike to feed the skill. But here's the catch. This strat is suicidal. Yuki admits that the moment he uses blood for the attack, his body enters starvation mode. He literally put his life bar in the red zone just to lure her into being careless. High risk, high reward. Yuki smirks, noting that Vinto drained him dry during training anyway. So this is nothing new. He delivers a final, powerful blow. As Carrot crumbles into a pile of expensive rocks, she realizes Yuki played her from the very start. Yuki stands over her defeated form and introduces himself properly for the first time. I am Yuki, the monster tamer. He tells her that her life is now in his hands. The battle has ended, but the air in the boss room remains thick with power. Yuki stands amidst the swirling energy, his body trembling. He realizes that the density of the dungeon's mana is so intense, it feels like his eyes are physically burning one. Despite the pain, he confirms that there's enough mana here to fulfill their ultimate goal. He whispers the name Lee Bear, signaling the mission's success, before his strength finally gives out too. As his knees buckle, Saki rushes forward, catching him just in time. She calls his name, her voice filled with worry 3. Yuki, barely conscious and suffering from severe anemia, apologizes for the wait and asks for a hand for her. Saki is left stunned, realizing he defeated the dungeon boss entirely on his own 5. The scene shifts to a chaotic press conference. Saki stands at a podium, blinded by camera flashes, as reporters clamor for the front page shot 6. She announces a conquest of the A-rank dungeon, but the reporters immediately heap praise upon her, the S-rank White Flash, assuming she is the Hero 7. Internally, Saki is fuming. She thinks about how Yuki pushed all of this responsibility onto her and ran away 8. A flashback reveals the truth. Immediately after battle, Yuki apologized to Saki and fled, claiming he had something important to take care of, leaving her to deal with the media circus alone. 9. Yuki's important business is deep within the dungeon. He stands with Mei, the head maid, watching a ritual. He asks anxiously if the resurrection is going well. 10. Mei warns him not to look directly at the light, as the sheer amount of mana could burn his eyes. 11. She casts her spell, Knight's Approval, commanding the underworld to release its hold. Elvina awakens. Seeing Yuki, she assumes she is in the afterlife and asks if he died. 13. Yuki corrects her, relieved to tell her that she is the one who came back to life. Elvina is shocked that the head maid's resurrection actually worked, admitting she thought she had died in vain. The reunion is cut short by Mei. She orders him to get to work immediately and tells him to go get changed. Yuki is confused, thinking he has to return to his duties as a butler, but Mei corrects him. Moments later, Yuki enters a grand hall dressed in a formal suit. Mei announces him as a guest of honor. Li Bear welcomes him, revealing a surprise. The mana yield from the dungeon Yuki cleared was so massive that Li Bear didn't just resurrect Elvina, he resurrected a vast number of monsters. 19. Yuki is stunned to see a room full of people. The resurrected monsters crowd around him, eager to thank the human who saved them. Li Bear tells Yuki to accept their gratitude as a monster tamer. 21. However, Yuki thinks to himself that he didn't do it for them. He fought because Elvina's sacrifice reminded him of a girl from his past tragedy. As the celebration continues, someone grabs Yuki, declaring that as a guest of honor, he needs to learn proper etiquette from scratch. Watching from afar, Mei teases Li Bear for being a nagging parent, noting that he personally prepared Yuki's clothes. 24. Li Bear reflects on their relationship, admitting that he initially planned to use Yuki, but now realizes Yuki is the one using him to achieve his goals. The chapter ends with a menacing scene elsewhere. A mysterious, hooded man with glasses confronts a woman. He demands she stop hiding the real conqueror. With a twisted smile, the total psycho declares that he's going to take that guy, Yuki, for himself. Story continues in a shady corner of the city where an A-rank adventurer named Zapper is absolutely raging. He's furious about the press conference and is currently interrogating a terrified informant. Zapper wants the docs on the guy standing next to Saki. The informant, realizing he has 0 HP left, cracks under pressure and drops the name, Yuki. Zapper confirms Yuki is the low-rank scrub he suspected. The informant begs for his life, but Zapper is colder than a blizzard. He says leaving witnesses is a hassle and whispers a single command. Call R.I.P. informant. Bro got deleted for being a snitch. Scene shift. Yuki is visiting the Great Collapse Memorial, a sad spot dedicated to a massive dungeon disaster from years ago. It's his day off, so he's touching grass and paying respects to the victims. He tells the spirits he's finally learning the sword. It's a wholesome moment, until it isn't. A man approaches him. Yuki thinks it might be Saki, but nope, it's Zapper. Zapper introduces himself as a colleague and says he's here to scout Yuki. Yuki tries to play the I'm just a weak E-rank card, but Zapper isn't buying it. He reveals he knows Yuki was the MVP in the fake dungeon. Internal panic mode activated. Yuki is sweating. He's terrified his monster tamer skill is about to get leaked. He tries to gaslight Zapper, claiming he only helped evacuate people, but Zapper has the receipts. He deduces that Yuki has a skill broken enough to one-shot an A-rank boss. Zapper drops his villain philosophy. Dungeon crawling is just capitalism. To make big money, you need an excellent weapon. He invites Yuki to join his party so they can get rich together. Yuki, being the Chad he is, politely refuses. He says he isn't in this for the bag. Zapper sighs. He admits he has 0 charisma stats, so he decides to switch to violence. He chants, call Firehammer. Boom! A magical blast rips through the street. Yuki dodges it with his new agile movement, shocking the bystanders. Zapper is actually impressed. Yuki's evasion makes him want him even more. Total creep behavior. Yuki yells that using magic on the surface is illegal, which it is, but Zapper says saying no to him is a bigger crime. He casts call Stonebind. Suddenly, Yuki is encased in rock. He's immobilized. Since Yuki relies on physical speed, being rooted is a hard counter. Zapper gloats, analyzing that while Yuki destroys monsters, he has 0 experience in PvP, player versus player. He follows up a call, Icebind, freezing and gagging Yuki. Zapper reveals his edgy nickname, the Skill Killer. He hunts talented noobs and forces them to be his pawns. He threatens to keep torturing Yuki until he agrees or dies. Meanwhile, in the spectator's seat, Li Bear is watching this go down, and he is offended. How dare this human try to steal his pawn? That's copyright infringement. Yuki is helpless. Without his sword and unable to move, he's cooked. But Lee Bear's voice cuts into his head. He reminds Yuki, "You are a monster tamer, bro. If you can't fight magic with swords, you fight magic with better magic." Deep in the dungeon, Lee Bear makes a call to the bullpen. He summons Mekinami Takura, an elf. He declares she is the magic goat and orders her go teach Yuki the abyss. Takura? She looks completely unbothered. She hits him with the, but I don't want to. The audacity. The world is ending. Yuki is turning into a popsicle, and the elf just wants to be lazy. Chapter 13, The Elf's Library. Deep within the dungeon on Metekwa's floor, the elf executive Mekinami Takura is venting her frustrations. She complains about Vento, calling him an antique bat and a tryhard for acting young. She indignantly claims she is still barely around 1,000 years old. When she clarifies that she is exactly 1,499 years old, she insists this still counts as young compared to him. Takura hatches a scheme, despite the old man. She decides that if she makes Vento's disciple even stronger than he did, Vento will hate it. Her imagination runs wild as she fantasizes about a forbidden love where Yuki, overwhelmed by her training, clings to her instead of Vento. Yuki interrupts her thoughts, asking her to teach him magic. Takura agrees, noting that magic research needs a bit of stimulation. Takura begins a lesson by asking Yuki if he knows the difference between skills and magic. When Yuki struggles to answer, she explains. Skills are personal techniques, often unique to a race or job, and operate like cheats based on a user's body and talent. In contrast, magic is a universal technique. It is an absolute rule where pouring the same mana and chanting the same spell produces the same result for anyone. Yuki asks why some people can't use magic if it's universal. Takura explains it is simply too hard, because proper magic requires reading a book's worth of chanting for even a short spell. She reveals that mages use shortcuts, like staffs, magic circles, or chanting in their heads, to skip parts of the text. This no chant casting relies on how well the caster understands the original chant to fill in the missing power and forge the spell. Takura warns that rote memorization isn't enough. One must understand the chant as a set of instructions, similar to learning a new language. Yuki complains that he is bad at languages, but Takura tells him to be grateful she is providing a shortcut. She begins a chant, Polektu Zar Mabazai. She activates the spell called Live in Library. The world transforms. Takura explains that the spell simulates and externalizes the contents of a book. They are now inside the world of her book. Fire magic even a slime can understand. She reveals that this is a virtual dungeon, and if Yuki clears it, he will literally have learned everything written in it. Yuki smiles, declaring that this kind of thing is a specialty. Takura raises the stakes, telling him he must clear all the basic elements and their core variations today. She asks if he is going to say it's impossible. Yuki confidently replies, "No, I'll finish it in a flash."